How many years have you been learning English, but still feel it is hard to speak out loud? You can read the news, you can write emails, but when you meet a native speaker, your mouth freezes, unable to produce even the simplest sentence. I understand that feeling. Because for more than 15 years of teaching English in the United States, I have met thousands of students from all over the world, and every single one of them has experienced that same lack of confidence just like you. It is truly painful. You spend hours studying vocabulary. But when it is time to speak, your mind goes completely blank. You try to use fancy words, but native speakers just use simple ones and still communicate with ease. But today, I want you to know there is a way out. There is a method to help you speak English confidently, with only 300 of the most basic words. This is not just theory. This is the secret I have used to help thousands of learners break free from their fear and finally speak English clearly, naturally, and confidently. And in this video, I will read slowly so you can shadow along with every single sentence. You will not only listen, but also practice speaking with me. If you have ever felt exhausted from learning thousands of words and still not being able to speak, then this is the moment for you to discover a completely different way of learning. By the time you finish this video, you will fully understand what is called the 300-word trap, and more importantly, you will know how to break through it. Are you ready? Let's get started. Let me tell you a story. One of my students, his name is Carlos, and he is from Brazil. He studied English for nearly 10 years. He memorized thousands of words. He could read English books and newspapers. He wrote work emails that sounded very professional. But then, when his company sent him to the United States for a conference, what happened? Carlos sat in a room full of native speakers. When someone asked a simple question, "So, what do you think?" he froze. He could not say a single sentence. He forced a smile and looked down at his papers. Does that sound familiar? Inside his head, he had a whole warehouse of words. But when he needed to speak, not a single one showed up in time. And Carlos was not alone. Millions of English learners around the world are in the exact same situation. They study, they memorize, they accumulate, but in the end they cannot use what they have learned. They are like vocabulary collectors. They keep a very impressive collection, but they almost never bring it out in real life. That is the trap, the 300-word trap. So, what is the 300-word trap? It starts with a very common belief. People think that to speak good English, the more words you know, the better. So every day they try to cram 10 new words, 20 new words. They take notes. They memorize. and they feel proud because their list keeps getting longer. But here is the problem. They become collectors of words, not users of words. Imagine this. A great musician does not need to know every instrument on earth. He only needs to play a few familiar instruments really well, and he can still create wonderful music. English is the same. You do not need to know thousands of words. You only need to use the basic words fluently. This 300-word trap lies right here. Learners keep hunting for vocabulary. The harder and rarer, the better. Meanwhile, the most important words are being ignored. What is the result? You have a very large word warehouse, but none of those words turn into a natural reflex in conversation. Language researchers have discovered something very surprising. Native speakers, in everyday communication, do not use tens of thousands of words. They revolve around about 1,000 to 2,500 familiar words. And even more surprising, just the 300 most common words make up nearly 65% of what they say every day. What does that mean? It means, with only 300 basic words, you can talk about your day, share your feelings, or take part in truly meaningful conversations. Yet most learners skip these words. They keep chasing words that sound high level, while native speakers prioritize simplicity. Simple words are powerful because they are like Lego pieces. When you combine them the right way, they can create countless new ideas. For example, with just one word, make, you can say make friends, make money, make a decision, or make mistakes. One simple word, but it can fit many different situations. And this is why native speakers love simple words. They use them to express ideas clearly, quickly, and very naturally. Simple words have a special power that many learners forget because they work like building blocks. When you fit them together, you can create endless different sentences. Imagine, you only need a few Lego pieces, but you can build an entire building. English works the same way, with just a few basic words. You can express complex ideas in a simple and easy to understand way. For example, with the word run. You can say run fast, run a company, run into trouble, or run out of time. It is a very familiar word, but when you combine it the right way, it becomes extremely flexible. This is exactly why native speakers favour simple words. They do not need to search for academic-sounding terms. They choose the closest, most familiar words, but they can say everything. And when you also learn to use this simplicity, you will start to speak more fluently, faster, and with more confidence. Many people think fluency means knowing a lot of words, but the truth is completely different. Fluency is not a vocabulary collection. Fluency is the ability to use basic words quickly and naturally. Think about a child. When they start to speak, they do not study a dictionary. They only use a few simple words like mom, dad, no, more. Those short words are repeated again and again, and they gradually become a reflex. This is the secret. If you want to speak English fluently, you need to turn basic words into a part of your instinct. This means, when you hear or want to speak, those words pop out immediately, with no translating and no overthinking. That is true fluency. It is not knowing many, it is using few, but using them masterfully. So, how do you escape this trap? Here is the plan. Step 1. Stop collecting long lists of new words. It may sound crazy, but believe me, the more you add, the more overwhelmed you become. Step 2. Select the 300 most basic words. This is your foundation, the toolkit you carry every day. Step 3. Practice using those words in sentences. Do not let them sit on paper. Bring them into your speech. Step 4. Combine simple words to create new sentences, new ideas, new situations. You will be surprised to see just a few basic words can create hundreds of different expressions. And step 5. Dare to speak simply. Do not worry that you sound childish or too easy. In conversation, simplicity is power. If you follow this roadmap, you will gradually escape the confusion and fear. And in their place, you will feel true confidence every time you open your mouth to speak English. When you start practicing this roadmap, remember, do not overload your brain. Each day, focus on one small group of words. For example, choose 5 words from the 300. Use them to create questions, answers, and real-life situations. After a few weeks, you will feel these words become so familiar that they are natural. They will pop out as a reflex, just like when you speak your native language. The most important thing is not how many words you know. It is how well you can use them. Remember, learning English is not a collecting contest. It is a journey to connect with other people. Therefore, start with what is simplest. Repeat, practice. Turn these 300 words into your own secret weapon. When that happens, you will not be a collector of words anymore. You will become a true user of words. Here is the simplest formula to build a word bank that truly serves you. First step. Choose 100 nouns. These are the things you meet every day, like house, car, phone, food, water. These are the objects and ideas tied to daily life. Next, choose 100 verbs. The most basic actions, like go, come, see, hear, think. These are the heart of every sentence. And finally, add 100 adjectives and descriptive words like good, bad, big, small, happy. They give your sentences colour, emotion, and clarity. When you put them together, you have your 300-word weapon. With it, you can retell a day, share your feelings, ask questions, and even tell a story. Picture this. You wake up in the morning. You can say, I get up. I drink water. I feel tired, but I am happy. All with very basic words, yet enough to express your idea. That is the power of the 300-word formula. Let me show you the difference between complex and simple. An English learner who wants to sound professional might say, I am currently experiencing a significant lack of motivation to continue this project. It sounds long, and it is tiring to understand. Meanwhile, a native speaker will say very naturally, I do not feel like working on this project. Which sentence is easier to understand? Which sentence sounds more natural? Clearly, it is the short and simple one. Here is what you need to remember. Simple equals clear, and clear equals effective. When you use simple words, you do not just speak faster, you also make it easier for people to receive your message and feel connected to you. That is the real power of 300 basic words. Now, you might be asking, so how do I practice these 300 words? The answer is simple. Each day, choose 5 words from the 300. For each word, create at least 10 different sentences. Do not only write, speak them out loud. Read slowly, then read faster. Repeat many times until the sentences become a reflex. For example, if today you study the word eat, you can say, I eat breakfast. I eat too fast. I do not want to eat. Let us eat together. Just one word, but it opens many different situations if you stay consistent. With only 15 minutes each day. After 1 month, you will notice a clear difference. These 300 words will become your instinct, instead of knowledge that sits quietly in a notebook. This is why I say, quality matters more than quantity. Learning less, but using more, is still better than learning a lot and not being able to say a sentence. Here is the important question. Why do so many people study for so long and still not speak well? The answer is actually simple. They want to sound impressive. They choose academic words and roundabout sentences to look high level. But communication is not a stage for showing off. Communication is connection. When you use too many difficult words, listeners feel distant, confused. and the conversation loses its natural flow. On the other hand, basic words make your sentences clearer. Listeners feel more comfortable. Your message goes straight to the point. That is why many people fail. They keep chasing difficult words, while the real power lies in simple words. If the goal is connection, prioritize simple, precise, natural. When you master the basic words, something amazing happens. You no longer worry every time you speak. You know for sure that you can express clear ideas with simple words. And then, confidence begins to appear. You are confident because you no longer fear forgetting words. You are confident because you can respond without translating in your head. This confidence does not only change the way you speak, it also changes how others see you. When you speak simply, clearly, and understandably, people listen more and trust more. And the best part is that English will no longer feel like a burden. English becomes a real bridge to connect, to share, and to create opportunities. That is the power of simplicity, and that is the source of confidence. Now, it is time for you to take action. Do not just listen and nod. Turn what I have shared into a daily habit. The plan is very simple. Step 1. Stop buying more vocabulary books. Stop chasing endless lists. Step 2. Choose 300 basic words. Print them out and place them where you can see them easily. Step 3. Each day, choose a few words. Put them into sentences and say them out loud. And here is what I want you to try. The 30-day challenge. For the next 30 days, do not learn any new words. Instead, use only these 300 core words. Use them to speak, to write, and to think every single day. I believe if you stay consistent, after just 1 month, you will be surprised by yourself. You will find yourself speaking more fluently, more confidently, and connecting more easily. This is not just an exercise. This is a challenge. To completely change the way you learn English, it is time for me to share a truth that few people say out loud. Native speakers do not try to sound academic. They do not sit there thinking, I must use very difficult words to impress people. In daily life, they choose the simplest words. Instead of saying purchase, they usually just say buy. Instead of saying assist, they say help. Instead of saying reside, they say live. You see? They prioritize clarity over complexity. And more importantly, nobody judges them for using simple words. On the contrary, that simplicity makes conversations friendly and easy to understand. Therefore, do not force yourself to sound smart by stuffing in words you rarely encounter. Learn from native speakers simple, quick, natural. Now, you understand the 300-word trap. You know why you have not been fluent after all this time. You know why native speakers choose simple words instead of complex ones. The only question left is, do you dare to change? Do you dare to stop chasing endless lists? Do you dare to focus on the 300 core words? Do you dare to take on the 30-day challenge to turn simple words into natural reflexes? Remember, you do not need to know everything. You only need to know enough and use it masterfully. 300 words are enough. 300 words can change your life. The world out there is waiting to hear your voice, and you absolutely can raise that voice clearly, naturally, with confidence. If you found this video helpful, please press like to support it. Do not forget to leave a comment and share your experience with English. I would love to read and reply. And remember to subscribe to Aurora English Echo so you do not miss the next lessons. Thank you for your time. See you in the next video.